Good afternoon. It is Wednesday, November 12th, 2025. We have a lot to discuss in today's weather forecast because California is expecting to get inches of rainfall, very strong damaging wind gusts of 40 to 60 miles per hour, with peak wind gusts over 70 miles an hour for the lower elevations, and a few feet of high elevation mountain snowfall for the mountains there of the Sierra, including more stormy weather for the Pacific Northwest over the next week or two. So in this update, we'll be breaking down all those details. So here's a look at the visible satellite imagery here across California and the far eastern Pacific, and we can clearly see where our storm system is right now, part of a very impressive atmospheric river that is getting ready to slam into California and parts of the Pacific Northwest like Oregon over the next 2 to 3 days. You can see here clearly where the storm is with that area of low pressure here, a very strong baroclinic cold frontal boundary rapidly deepening. And out ahead of this system, we have a semi-transient surface low pressure system that is right over here roughly, and this is racing pretty much to the north. Now, while it looks like it's going to be moving very far north into much of the Pacific Northwest, it is actually going to get tightly caught up in this baroclinic cold frontal boundary that is racing pretty much towards the east here at around 25 to 40 miles an hour, and we are expecting an explosive surface low to develop along this baroclinic front over the next 24 hours, and anyone living along the coast of California needs to get prepared for significant wind damage and some very high surf and some very heavy rainfall associated with this storm system. So with that being said, let's take a look here at our latest HRRR model, which stands for High Resolution Rapid Refresh here for California and parts of Oregon, because this is where the heaviest rainfall, the strongest winds, and the heaviest mountain snowfall will occur over the course of the next couple of days. So with that being said, here's a look at that forecast for this afternoon. We can see a couple of pop-up showers across our area. We have a little bit of shower activity outside, but nothing that is very impressive because there's some drier air in the mid-levels. So a lot of that's going to be in the form of virga. But along the coast here, where we are seeing some low-level moisture transport up and around these higher elevations, we are seeing a little bit of orographic flow because of that southerly flow. But what's going to end up happening is this system is going to really amplify overnight tonight into the day tomorrow. And so by Thursday morning, roughly right around, say, about 5 to 6 in the morning, we are going to start seeing some moderate to heavy rainfall come down. Now, while this doesn't look all that heavy, though, it depends on what model and what program you use. I'm using Pivotal Weather here, and it does show pretty good where the heaviest rainfall is going to be. Some yellow cells here indicate some heavier pockets of rainfall that come down. But look at the low pressure system here, 980 millibars. So that is a very deep surface low that really bombs out overnight tonight because of that, again, baroclinic interaction, the right front quadrant, a lot of jet stream dynamics to work with. So that's why the surface low really deepens pretty quickly overnight tonight. But what that's going to do is it's going to really increase our wind. So we're going to look at stormy conditions for much of your Thursday here. As you can see, this is right around 10 o'clock or so, maybe even 11 o'clock in the morning. We're looking at strong winds, heavy rainfall, maybe some thunderstorms along to go with this cold front. And this front is going to be moving through pretty slowly. It's not going to be a one and done deal. It's just going to kind of hang around for a while, as you see here. So keep that in mind for your morning commute tomorrow. We are looking at stormy conditions, wet and windy conditions, except for the Sierra. It doesn't look to be too bad with the snow waiting off probably for the afternoon and evening hours as the front slowly works its way eastward into the Sierra foothills. And also a little bit of rain here up across Medford, Oregon, as well as portions there of Eugene, Oregon, looking at a little bit of rainfall. But the brunt of this storm is actually going to take aim across much of central and northern California. So you can see here, this is about your afternoon commute. Still raining pretty good here. Strong winds, thunderstorms, and just a day to work from home, in other words, because the wind is going to be pretty strong out there. Wait until I show you guys the wind gusts. And then it's going to be raining still in parts of the Central Valley, drying out, though, for the Bay Area as we go into the overnight hours of Thursday into Friday. But Southern California really going to take a beating here with that atmospheric river as we move forward here into Friday morning. Really raining there pretty good with some gusty winds, but most of the winds down there will be a lot lighter than the winds up here to the north. And that low is going to fill in slowly, but definitely a circulation out here to keep things a little bit interesting for the day Friday, with maybe a pop-up shower or two, maybe a thunderstorm, with more rain returning perhaps by Saturday night into the day, Sunday and Monday. It's going to be a wet, stormy week ahead in the work week into the weekend. So now, what does this look like on the NAM model? So there are some timing differences on the arrival time of this. So if we go back here, it looks like by about your morning commute of about 6 or 7 o'clock, the rain starts across much of the Bay Area, as well as the Central Valley. If we go and look at the NAM model, the rain starts a little later by a few hours. So we're looking at about, say, 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning when the rain starts reaching the Central Valley, but not until about, say, that 5 or 6 o'clock hour, a little later than the HRRR is showing. And this is the 18Z model run. So this is the very latest model data that we have. So the timing here has been peeled back a little bit more for tomorrow early morning, but I would bet on some shower activity kind of on again, off again tonight. And then that storm is just going to kind of sit there for a while. So throughout the day tomorrow, we're looking at pockets of showers and some thunderstorms. And something interesting here as well is if we zoom closer into this map, you could see there is some orographic effect showers. So you can see some of the hills here really get that orographic forcing where you get moderate to heavy rainfall that falls over a long period of time. Whereas the Bay Area spots, you might not see a whole lot of rainfall with this, like the South Bay, like San Jose, you might only see about a quarter to a half an inch of rainfall. Whereas, say, over the Diablo range here of the mountains, the Santa Cruz Mountains, you might see 4 inches of rainfall once this is all said and done. And even the Salinas Valley down here near, say, Hollister, as well as Monterey Bay, you might see 5 or 6 inches of rainfall, whereas the Salinas Valley might only see an inch or less of rainfall. That's pretty much how topography works in California with this type of setup. You get that upslope flow, atmospheric river moisture. It really squeezes out thanks to jet stream dynamics, and you end up with a lot of rainfall. And that's what ends up happening here. So while it's not raining here, so to speak, yeah, it's raining here in the west slope of the Sierra, including some high elevation snow with snow levels right around 10 or 11,000 feet. So not much worries about chain controls with a new plume of moisture coming back in by Friday morning. That's what the NAM 3 kilometer continues to indicate, that there will be another patch of showers moving on through for your morning commute on Friday into even Friday afternoon. So just a wet day looks to be more likely than not on Friday before things do dry out gradually as we go into Saturday. So now, how much rainfall could you see out of the storm system, given that it's an atmospheric river? So let's kind of mouse over these areas, and you can see areas like the San Joaquin Valley could see anywhere between about an inch to maybe about 2.5 inches of rain on this particular model. The NAM is not as aggressive, but some other models are, like the GFS and the Euro, are pretty aggressive at showing about 2.5 to 3 inches. So the HRRR may be onto something here, and maybe even up to 3 inches of rainfall here over Sacramento County, including for Rancho Cordova, as well as Roseville, up into the foothills of Auburn, Placerville, getting a lot of rainfall out of this, because again, you're forcing that moisture upward here along the western slopes of the Sierra, so you're going to squeeze out all that moisture orographically due to all that moisture and some jet stream lift ascent as well. Look at some of these areas up here. Could get even 6 or 7 inches of rain here near just to the northeast here of Lake Orville. It's the word that I was looking for. And some of the North Bay Mountains here can get up to 3 or 4 inches of rain. Santa Cruz Mountains here up to 4 inches. The Salinas Valley could get even 5 to 6 inches of rainfall. That's what we were talking about. But look at the valley here. Some of these rain-shadowed areas, you might only get a half an inch or less. San Jose, I wouldn't be surprised if you only see about 6/10 of an inch or less of rainfall. So not really a big rainfall maker, but boy, these coastal mountains and the Sierra gonna really get the bullseye for the heaviest rainfall with this type of storm. And that goes for any atmospheric river when you get rain shadow, because most of the moisture is in the low and mid levels. So it really doesn't spill over the mountains very efficiently and get everyone wet. Unlike cold-like storm systems, when they come out of the north, there's not as much orographic forcing because the air mass is not as moist to begin with, because colder air holds lesser moisture versus warmer air. So now, how much snowfall could you see with this storm system through the next couple of days here, with additional snow expected on rest of the day Friday into even Saturday? Then, of course, on Sunday and Monday, we could get another punch of snowfall in the higher elevations. And so you could see some of these areas could get anywhere between 2 to 3 feet of snowfall, especially for the highest peaks like Heavenly Valley, Bear Valley as well, Yosemite. Some of the higher peaks are like Half Dome, as well as Clouds Rest could get possibly 3 or so feet of snowfall with this storm. So there's going to be some snow, just not going to be very low in elevation, because this is a fairly warm storm to say the least. So now that we talked about the snowfall forecast and the rainfall, how much rainfall you're going to see and the timing of all of that, the biggest weather story with all of this will be the wind. The wind is going to be a big time concern here, as the storm, number one, it deepens a lot, and when it deepens, the pressure gradient increases, and that really increases the winds as well. So of course, tonight into the overnight hours, or the early overnight hours, I should say, winds are not going to be all that strong, except for the Sierra. Some of these peak wind gusts here over the ridge tops could exceed 40 to 50 miles an hour. Wind gusts along the coast here, San Francisco, Half Moon Bay, Monterey Bay might exceed 35 to 40 miles an hour. And then, of course, up here off the coast, you could see wind gusts up to 50 to 60 miles an hour. And those winds are only going to get stronger as we get into the overnight hours, especially by tomorrow morning. Take a look at this right here. Wind gusts here up to 70 to almost 80 miles per hour. I'm being serious about this. This is really strong winds that blow down trees and power lines, especially right along the coast here. Fort Bragg, as well as Eureka, could get some very strong wind gusts between 40 to 60 miles an hour. And this is not showing it very well, but the higher elevations of the Bay Area, like the East Bay peaks, like Mission Peak, if you're on the Diablo Range, like where the Lick Observatory is, Mount Diablo. If you are on Loma Prieta, the higher elevations of the Santa Cruz Mountains could get wind gusts. Even Mount Tamalpais could get wind gusts between about 50 to 70 miles per hour. I wouldn't be surprised to get peak gusts there up around those elevations of about 3,000 or 4,000 feet that do exceed 70 miles an hour, which is enough to really bring down power lines and down trees. There will be some property damage with this kind of setup. And these winds are going to get stronger, especially for the Central Valley here. You can see wind gusts in the early morning hours between 35 to 40 miles an hour, and those wind gusts will come up even further here, up to about 45 to 50 miles an hour across the Sacramento Valley. Stockton reporting 45 expected. And then, of course, up here north of Chico, wind gusts up there could be between 50 to even 55 miles an hour. So again, that's enough to bring down the trees, the power lines, and lead to power outages, that sort of thing. And I wouldn't be surprised once this narrow frontal boundary rolls through, there could be water spouts and tornadoes along with that. Some minor spin-ups along the boundary, so don't be surprised by that, and some lightning strikes as that cold front swings through. And it's going to take its own sweet time with along to go with those strong damaging winds. There's going to be some very heavy rainfall embedded within that cold frontal boundary, that narrow frontal system, that could produce rainfall rates of about 1 inch to 2 inches an hour, which is more than enough to cause some flash flooding concerns in these areas. Now, of course, for the higher elevations for the Sierra, you're looking at wind gusts between 55 to 65, close to 70 miles an hour throughout the next couple of days. So keep that in mind. It's going to be a very windy storm over the next couple of days for parts of California. Because of how significant the storm system is going to be, these weather products that I issue here, like the storm advisory, storm watch, storm warning, extreme storm warning, is issued by me. This is not an official NWS product All right, I want to make that very clear. This is all handcrafted by me. So you can see, based on what I'm thinking here for the Cedar Foothills, this includes also for Reno because of how strong the winds are going to be. So just because you're in the red doesn't mean you will see 1.75 inches of rain or greater. This is a rough estimate based on model trends and model data, but it is showing that the Cedar Foothills, Redding, Chico, I've put you all under a storm warning, including parts of the Bay Area like the Salinas Valley, as well as San Francisco, Fort Bragg, as well as Eureka. You're under an extreme storm warning. That means wind gusts greater than 65 miles an hour are likely, with at least 2 inches of rainfall. And of course, the storm duration would last almost 24 hours. So that meets the criteria there for an extreme storm warning along the coast there. And that fits the bill with storm warnings in itself from the National Weather Service. If we actually go to the National Weather Service here really quickly, you can see all these purple polygons here along the coast do indicate storm force winds that are anticipated. Even along our coast here of San Francisco, we're expecting some nasty conditions. So that really fits with this product that I have here with storm warnings out. Storm watches for the Central Valley, that includes wind gusts of at least 40 miles an hour and up to at least 1.25 inches of rainfall is anticipated. And the storm will last certainly more than 6 hours here. One or two of these must meet the definition to have this highlighted. And then, of course, for Los Angeles, you're under a storm advisory because there's still some low confidence, but expecting at least 3/4 of an inch, maybe even an inch in that area in the next couple of days as the storm slides further south. Here's a look at my own rainfall prediction, and you can see, of course, this has not updated since yesterday. I had some issues rendering the modeling here, but the higher elevations here of the Sierra Foothills could see up to about 3 to 4 inches of rainfall, with 3 to 4 inches of rainfall along the Salinas mountain range here, the San Luisa mountain range there near Monterey Bay, as well as Fort Bragg and Eureka. Could see anywhere between 2 to 3 inches of rainfall. So definitely some flash flood concerns with the storm system, to say the least. Now that we got that all out of the way with the wind, the heavy snowfall, let's quickly talk about the international forecast here from Pivotal Weather. So, of course, there is our monster storm system, atmospheric river, that's going to deliver some problems. Southern California going to still get a lot of rainfall for Saturday, mainly down there, and that could swing hard left into the central portions of California, while another storm system impacts much of the Northeast here, bringing some moderate to heavy rainfall. But otherwise, much of the nation looking nice and quiet with nice weather conditions. And then, of course, another system tries to develop here. That same system tries to bottom out a little bit right off the coast there of Maine, out to about 4 to 5 days, while another storm system slams into California potentially by the early part of next week. This one could be pretty significant with another round of strong winds, heavy rainfall, thunderstorms, and heavy mountain snowfall for the higher elevations. Really not a big rain producer for Oregon and Washington, and mainly amplifying a little bit more here for California. And then that same system tries to make its way into the Midwest by the middle of next week on Tuesday and Wednesday, but it really doesn't materialize very well. Only to bring another big storm system for California by the middle of next week. We're talking Wednesday and Thursday here with another round of pretty significant rainfall and strong winds. This would probably be the strongest storm system of the season. This one has the potential for bringing another round of damaging winds, very heavy rainfall, maybe another inch or two, and then, of course, some very heavy mountain snowfall for the northern Sierra Mountain Range, including for Oregon and Washington. This would be a much colder system than the previous systems ahead of it, or preceding this one. So, yes, a very stormy west, it looks like, going forward here. And then, of course, maybe the pattern changes to where we get some activity into the Midwest by the following week, the leading into Thanksgiving week, that is, where we will have to keep an eye on the models for active weather. But for right now, it looks like most of the active weather will pretty much be hugging much of the Intermountain West over the next 5 to 7 days. Right now, most of the nation does remain leaning above to likely above average precipitation anywhere from the Intermountain West of the Four Corners into Southern California, stretching across the upper Midwest into the Great Lakes. This will be over the next 6 to 10 days, running all the way through November the 22nd. And when we take a look at the 8 to 14 day forecast, running through pretty much Thanksgiving Eve, where much of the nation is looking at leaning above to likely above average precipitation in the form of rain or snow, depending on where you're at. Now, looking at the next 6 to 10 days as far as your temperature probability forecast, not going to feel like winter anytime soon after the brief hurrah of colder air that has moved in, and it's still kind of over parts of the deep south, but really washing out very quickly here. So yes, above average temperatures are looking likely for much of the Midwest, the deep south, and the Great Lakes throughout the next 10 days, and that continues over the next 14 days with above average temperatures remaining, with below average temperatures for the Intermountain West and the Pacific Northwest for the next couple of weeks, which is nice. We could definitely use a break here with the temperatures that were close to 80 degrees a couple of days ago. Today, it's only 64 degrees. And just a couple of days ago, it was almost 80 degrees. So we have really lost the warmth here. It's pretty cloudy right now. It's pretty dark, too, outside. Might rain. It's trying to storm on us. That won't happen until probably tomorrow. So before I do in the video, though, I did want to kind of take a little moment here and tell you all that if you saw the auroras last night, I didn't even realize it was even happening, probably because I was really tired from work. And so I was like, I'm not going to take a look outside. It was really cloudy, kind of the high clouds coming in. So I assumed that maybe it wouldn't be good to view the aurora. Besides, I didn't even know about it. So tonight, though, the aurora is looking a little bit more likely in parts where they saw it last night. So areas in red here indicate auroras are likely somewhere overhead or close to being overhead. This is just a best estimate based on what I saw on X and on other people posting stuff, some graphics about this. And then down here in the green area, like Oklahoma City, Atlanta, auroras at horizon. So that means you have to look north at the horizon level to see some of the auroras, and you need some good camera photography to be able to capture it, because faint auroras with the human eye, unless you are way out there away from light pollution, you're not going to see the auroras very well at horizon level till you get out away from light pollution. So that's a look at the aurora forecast for tonight. Again, areas in red, auroras looking likely, and then of course areas in green here, auroras are possible at your location at horizon level. I'm going to include a couple of my friends down here in Tallahassee, Jacksonville. You might be lucky to see the auroras tonight, but you're going to have to really, really squint and look hard. You might even need a GoPro or one of those expensive cameras to do very long exposure shots looking northward to see if you can get anything. It's going to be kind of one of those things the further south you go here. Even my area, we could barely see the aurora tonight. Well, anyways, if you found this video very helpful, detailed, informative, and life-saving, please don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, folks. It really, really helps out a lot. Please share this, because I'm telling you folks right now, if you're in California, if you're in Southern Oregon, even in Southern California, over the next 2 to 3 days, we are looking at the concerning threat here of flooding, some landslides, some debris flows in the burn scar areas, including the risk for damaging winds and some severe weather, especially as the cold front moves on through. Don't be surprised if there is a severe thunderstorm warning here and there with a system that is going to be moving into California here in the next 24 hours. I might be live streaming on the channel tomorrow on this storm system, just depending on how it actually pans out, what the latest model guidance is showing. But I think I'm going to be attempting a live stream here for at least a few hours to hang out with you all as we track California's big atmospheric river. But otherwise, see you back here another day with another weather forecast.